2020 sucked, and a lot of these games, they suck too. Well, I'll make it clear when I was very disappointed by a game. You know, the love was there, the passion was there, the desire to want to play it a lot, but I got nothing in return. But some of these games, I can't stand that they exist, and I'll make it very clear which ones disappoint me and which ones are just flat out bad. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a video full of opinions, and it is my top 5 worst games of 2020. I encourage you to share what disappointed you, what let you down in the comments down below. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it, starting off with number 5.
What? It's the same game.
Yeah, this one might come off as a bit of a surprise to a lot of you. I gave Kingdoms of Amalur a lot of love on the channel in 2020. I did a bunch of news updates, patch notes. I did a full review for the game. I was very excited for it. But for those of you who pay even closer attention, you'll realize I did my review and went, peace out, see you later, because I was really disappointed by this remaster. I thought it could have done so much more. Kingdoms of Amalur, at its core, still a great game. If you've never played Reckoning before, Re-Reckoning is a perfect way to get introduced to the entire series, and where hopefully it goes to when it comes to Kingdoms of Amalur's expansion that they're doing in 2021. I still remain excited and curious about that. But when it comes to Re-Reckoning, there just wasn't enough that changed to justify paying in. The quality of life enhancements they completely dropped the ball on, and in fact, it brought more bugs and issues to the table. Like sometimes you couldn't do damage to enemies. Sometimes you'd be like glitching through the wall. It was just very frustrating that it brought more problems than fixes to the original formula that could have made it a smoother experience. Tweaking skills, tweaking perks, stuff that they said would balance the actual gameplay, but it seemed like those were just words on paper. Overall, I love Kingdoms of Amalur. I'm looking forward to more of it, but I feel like they got very lazy with this remaster, especially when you look at the Destroy All Humans remake, which also THQ Nordic published. That showed me that they actually have the potential to do something good with their remakes and their remasters, but Kingdoms of Amalur was far too safe, and it left me feeling let down.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I just have to do this.
You were warned. This is a video clearly about just diverse opinions here, and I know that this is one of the most popular games of the year, so you're probably looking at me eyebrow raised, ready to hit the unsub button, hit the dislike button. I understand. I know a lot of people like this game, but look, I put 30 hours into this game, and it was 30 hours of given chances, wanting to fall in love with it. You know, I come from a background as a Dragon Quest builder guy. Like, that is my stuff. I love Dragon Quest Builders. I have almost 100 hours in Dragon Quest Builders too. It was one of my games of the year in 2019. So I wanted a little bit more of that formula, even if it was going to be different when it came to Animal Crossing New Horizons. My girlfriend sold it on me. A lot of my best friends sold me on it. They were like, we can play together. And I was just every step of the way really not hooked. Like, it wasn't a bad game. It's not a bad game. Clearly, so many people play it for a reason, and the recurrent updates it gets is awesome. I see why people are hooked. But for me, I just could not. Like, the idea of chasing around spiders for 3 hours at night, I was positively bored every step of the way. And I don't know if I'm really as disappointed in the game because there's something there that hooks people. I'm disappointed in myself. I wanted to love this game. I wanted to love this game and be hooked by it more than anything. You know, I've said for a while, I want that home-based game. And I've been searching for it for months and months and months. And Animal Crossing, I thought, was going to be it, right? The game that you can return to for a couple of hours every day, see what's going on your island. But I just eventually got bored of digging, cutting down trees, talking to my island residents, and then just, all right, that's about it. It just didn't give me enough fun. And I have friends who have put hundreds of hours in, and I envy them. I want that. But for me, Animal Crossing was just outright disappointing, not from a hype standpoint, because even when I bought it, it was like begrudgingly going, okay, I've watched all the pre-launch coverage and I don't see what people really are digging about this. I feel like a lot of other games have evolved the formula more, Dragon Quest Builders, but I'll give it a shot. And sorry to say, but Animal Crossing New Horizons, I moved on from it. I didn't touch my Switch for months until Hades came out. And Hades is awesome. But, you know, Animal Crossing New Horizons, I tried to play it online. Switch Online is just terrible. Like the Wi-Fi adapter inside the Switch, it's just not good. So even trying to connect to friends' islands just to do things together where you're really just visiting, even that became unfun because I couldn't stay connected. So yeah, not the best time with Animal Crossing New Horizons. Sorry to report this.
Cyberpunk 2077 on consoles. Get it? Because, like, you know, it kind of looks like a game from...
Here's one we can all agree on, right? Suddenly we're all best friends again. Cyberpunk 2077 on consoles was a fucking atrocity. There is no excuse for it. Now, you might be wondering, why isn't this number one? It's because underneath it all, at its core, I do like Cyberpunk as a game, but its console version is inexcusably bad. Like the models, the textures, the load times, just everything about it reminds me of a PS2 or an Xbox game. It is terrible and it runs poorly. It's barely holding together. This is going to be a game that'll be a relic in 20 years. You're going to have a box copy of Cyberpunk unpatched and people are going to go, that's worth a lot of money because this game was so bad at launch, it needs to be preserved. So we can look at it on what humankind should always avoid moving into the future so that we don't repeat history. This was a historically bad launch, and Cyberpunk 2077, it became more frustrating because underneath the myriad of issues was actually a good game. But it's quite hard to forgive because at the end of the day, they said that it was going to run well on consoles. It did not. They said it was going to be great on consoles. It was not. Everything about Cyberpunk 2077 on consoles was a flat out lie, and it was one of the most anti-consumer moves we have seen in our industry in a while, and especially in 2020, a year full of a lot of anti-consumer moves, from UFC ads to Nintendo shutting down Slippy and all this stuff. CD Projekt Red really took the cake on this one, lying to fans, throwing away years worth of goodwill. And so yes, if you are a console owner at this point in time of recording this video, Cyberpunk 2077 on consoles is terrible. Avoid at all costs until it is patched. And even then, who knows how it looks and runs. All right, number two. I don't know why I own this thing physically, but if it was not clear, this is where the really bad stuff begins. Marvel's Avengers from Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics ranks in at number 2. Oh my God. Like, we were just talking about bugs with Cyberpunk. I can't imagine there was this and there was Cyberpunk, there was Fallout 76. Like, what is happening on the AAA level of game development that I must be missing? Because no one can seem to get it right. And especially in the case of Marvel Avengers, they were hoping you out there watching this video were an idiot and just bought it because they went, oh, what's that? The red box that says Marvel. I gotta buy this. This is a must own now. The Avengers? Are you kidding me? I love the movies. That's what they were hoping for. That's what they thought of you as when they were making this lovely game. I've played this way more than I honestly should have. Dozens of hours sunk into it between the beta as well as the final release of the game because I wanted to do diligence, make sure I was honest and upfront about the product, and I didn't just play the beta and write it away, but I did a full review to make sure that the audience was informed that this game was not good. Now, what's sad is at the heart of it all is like a decent story, but I think it's because everything around it is so bad that the story looks better because Kamala Khan is a great character. You know, she is really fun to watch, and that's about it. The story that's happening and unfolding isn't super interesting. The characters around her make no sense. Some of the stuff they do is so weird. It baffles me, man. Like Tony Stark and Bruce Banner's relationship where they beat the snot out of each other and 2 minutes later they're like, dude, bring it in, bro. Bring it in. Like, they just don't get it with this game. And what happened is I think they were making a single player game and they're like, wait, money, dude. Yeah. And they just made Marvel Avengers a multiplayer live service game that died as quickly as it deserved because it was not supposed to be like this. If they went ahead and made a great single player game, I promise you, Square Enix, I promise you, this game would have sold more, done better for you, and not cratered their company so hard that it impacted other projects out there. Some of the games that were profitable didn't even matter because this game flopped so tremendously, and it's still, at the time of us talking about this game, being fixed. There are a lot of issues here. It had so many problems that it pushed back future content, so now the player base is completely dead and gone. Does it have the chance to rebound? Maybe. But by the time that it can, there's going to be so many other games that people care about, want to spend their time with, and they've already had their chance. Companies need to realize there is a window. You don't have time to fix it. You don't always have the redemption arc, the redemption story. Get it right the first time, release your game, or don't bother doing it at all and just call it early access. More people would probably stick around. Okay, number 1. What could beat out Marvel's Avengers? What could possibly do that? Well, it's pretty rare I get pissed in a video, right? I think it's happened maybe a handful of times. on the channel, probably twice in the last 2 years. And one of them was this year. And that game was Godfall. What's going on, buddy? Godfall. I have never been more passionate about despising a game in my life, and I don't think I've ever been more angry at a game for just existing in my life. Now, Godfall wasn't this buggy mess. It worked fine. It played, I guess, okay. But Godfall was so passionately boring and mediocre that I there's something in me, right, that I look at and I'm like, I'm pissed all of a sudden. I'm really angry right now. From loot progression to combat to levels, having zero diversity across the board within half an hour, I was bored of Godfall. This game, I want to tear my hair out. Especially, I think of the boss fights, and I get these horrible flashbacks. That was some of the worst combat I've ever experienced because there's these constant respawns, and they're letting you die and die and die because they couldn't be bothered to balance the bosses. The loot progression is terrible. Sackboy outsold Godfall. Does that not say enough? Sackboy, not a bad game, by the way, but still, it had no marketing, it had no attention, and it outsold the big AAA third-party launch game. Get the fuck out of here. This game, really, I just cannot explain enough how much it disappointed me. From its systems to its loot, it had everything about it just doesn't work well. Especially the combat. I need to hone in on that because combat was supposed to be a superstar here, right? Even if the loot kind of sucked or whatever, just navigating, fighting was supposed to feel good. But it was so basic and generic. It was dodge, light attack, heavy attack. Wow. You couldn't even jump. And the game has no shame in rehashing its old environments. Like, it'll send you to one location, you'll go there again, you'll go there again, you'll go there again. You get to a new location, you do 2 missions, and they send you back to the first area, send you back to the first area, then you go into the new location one more time, back to the old area, and it's the same level. Just doing that for an hour makes you want to yank your hair out, but doing it for 6 like I did was probably one of the most traumatic experiences of the year. I cannot stand Godfall. I cannot recommend you stay away from this game enough. There's nothing appealing about it. There's no charm. There's no like, oh, it's got this. No. Stay away from Godfall, okay? I would rather you play this over Godfall because at least at the heart of this game, very deep underneath a layer of big baked-in issues, maybe there's something here. With Godfall, there's no future. There's no great gameplay. There isn't a good story. There isn't great loot. There is awful progression systems. The PC optimization is terrible. The PC HUD scaling is a fucking embarrassment. Everything about Godfall drives me up a wall. I don't like this game at all. And especially with it trying to just cash in on the launch, they knew what type of game they had, and they should be ashamed. It was boring beyond belief. And to me, that's worse than a bad game. It's just one that is absolutely, positively okay with being just as it is and not pushing any boundaries. And that maybe is a personal thing, but it irks me. It irks me beyond belief. All right. So that, ladies and gentlemen, are my 5 worst / most disappointing games of 2020. Let's go ahead and hit the switch here. It's good old Matty again. How you doing? All right. So I'm curious to see who will agree and disagree with me. I'm sure just given how heated I got, there will be more disagreements in the comments than agreements, but that's okay. It's just my opinion, man. If you disagree, that's cool with me. Fire away. Other than that, looking forward to hearing from all of you and what games you did not like this year. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.